Remember when video games were made for an audience just for entertainment and for fun? Well, not anymore. You can't have that. No, all of these games have to convey some kind of message now. And that's exactly what's happening in the gaming industry with not only game developers, but some of the very questionable consultancy firms that they hire in. We've talked about some of those here before on Valiant Renegade for one reason or another. The DEI woke mind virus, it's not just an infective corporate cancer at places like Disney and other Hollywood film and television studios. No, it's now infecting almost every facet of AAA gaming, and it's only going to get worse. But these game developers and consultancy firms tell us representation matters in gaming. It didn't matter before. Everybody around the world played games, no matter what the characters in them looked like. But now, changes are being forced into things, and it's virtue signaling that seems to be irking a lot of gamers out there, because virtue signaling is all it really is. But if representation is really that important, then why are you denigrating and cutting out the largest portion of your actual audience? That would be white guys. At least here in the US. That's the biggest group of gamers out there, but they're the ones that seem to be targeted by these new developers and these consultancy firms. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. Renegade Online. Well, Dre Roberts, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you covered? You've got a YouTube channel out there. A lot of y'all should check out, especially as we talk more about this gaming stuff. But go ahead.
Yeah. So my channel it originally revolves around pop culture and movie reviews and stuff like that, but it really has spilled into gaming because I've been seeing a lot of the same issues I've been seeing in entertainment, movies, and stuff, and that it's just translating over to gaming now. So I've been trying to hit it head on because it's a medium that a lot of people are worried are going to be long-term damaged by a lot of these consultancy agencies that are pushing a lot of this DEI nonsense in their games. I started to realize that this was happening back when Spider-Man 2 came out.
Yeah.
With Sweet Baby Inc. and their involvement. And I think the cherry on top was Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, which is one of the worst games ever. Barely anybody is playing it right now because of their involvement. And so I had to just jump onto this and start talking to people about it because and in my comments, I see that many people who talk to me say that they want to know exactly who is involved in what, and they want to decide with their money so they can make an informed decision. So that's just been something that I've been trying to do.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people are out there trying to do that now, and that's what's really upsetting a lot of either they're movie producers or game developers in this case, where simple things like Sweet Baby Inc. detected, and we had Cabrutus on here a couple of weeks ago. Need to get him back in here, which is now going to be DEI detected. They're working on that. Matter of fact, one of Cabrutus's folks emailed me just the other night. Got to catch up with them, but trying to work more with folks like them, like you. Because now we're to a point to where I think everybody's recognizing this and creating these kind of websites or YouTube videos or channels or things like on thatparkplace.com and John Trent that are just cataloging what's going on. And the people who are just cataloging it are getting raked through the coals by these NPCs and bots out there. I do mean that literally, bots and NPCs.
And congratulations to Master of the TDS for uncovering how the bots work now on the new version of Twitter, where it's a vast paid conspiracy of blue checks. And sometimes, here's the latest thing he's discovered. You can hide those blue checks. Sometimes those bots that don't even appear like they're blue checks, they're actually paid accounts that have hidden the blue check, and they're maximizing visibility and manipulating the trending stuff. But Dre Roberts, question to you. This is something they were talking about earlier today on the George the Giant Slayer show with Andre and myself. Why do gaming companies want to make women ugly? And for that matter, why would they want to make men ugly? Isn't the idea that you are attracted to people and things that are attractive, that we would want to play beautiful games? Like, who in the world thinks this will work?
Well, apparently these people think it'll work. And first and foremost, it's completely natural for men and women to both be attractive and to be attracted to each other. This is something that has been around for quite a long time. But people who have also been around a long time are some of the people I've reported on, like Lisette Teeter Montgomery, are people who have worked in the industry for over 20 years and even worked on some of the games that we have probably enjoyed, like some of the South Park games, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that some of these people, and not all of them, have had these ideas for a while and have been waiting for a way to push this onto other people. And a lot of the claims I've seen from some of these companies, they've said that they have come up with these ideas themselves, and this is something that they've always wanted to do. But to be honest, a lot of it seems coordinated. A lot of these companies say the exact same thing, and it's something I've reported on repeatedly. It's hard to believe sometimes. Even much of it is very cult-like. A lot of it contains, or at least these people who parrot these ideas, they say a lot of terrible things, ranging from racism to misogyny, mostly focusing on white male gamers. I have discovered, and this is something that even comes from the very top for executives from Microsoft, other companies like that. Now Capcom is saying things about it, or at least Capcom's localization team, whatever that is.
I wanted to ask you about that real quick, Dred. I watched your videos, great stuff, where you kind of broke that down. Capcom, after watching your video, and this is what's more difficult out there, and I'll remind the folks in the audience, it's more difficult for a guy like me to go do the financial rundowns on a lot of the gaming companies because a lot of them aren't U.S. companies. So the reporting is very different. So like when I go to pull up Capcom, you've got to go through the Japanese reporting system to find those kind of things, whereas opposed to Disney, Universal, Paramount, hey, we can pull those up. They're all U.S.-based companies filed with the SEC. We know how that works. The Capcom that you're talking about, were you seeing that coming from like Capcom senior corporate in Japan, or are we talking about Capcom USA, kind of like Sony has their own USA division and a lot of these other ones? Is that something that's
so
broad?
I don't know if they 100% agree with Capcom with this localization team. As far as I know, they're based in Osaka, but they're US based, or they're US, but they're based in Osaka. And it's an American localization team, and I actually haven't dug like too deep into it, but that is what I understand. And I don't know if they fully agree. I don't even know if Capcom fully supports this. But the way that this localization team puts out their information, like in their tweet, for example, it suggests that they want to take what comes from these Japanese game studios, games from Capcom that are in Japanese, and they want to take their societal ideas and project it onto the dialogue in that game, or some of the storytelling even. I don't even know how they're going to do this, but they said that they even want to change the gameplay to reflect these ideas in certain ways. So I have no idea how that's going to work. But again, I have no
Everybody's
idea
in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's in a wheelchair.
Didn't they do that once? Didn't they already do that once, or at least in a comic book? Like one of the superheroes was in a wheelchair. It's like,
oh yeah, I don't know. They did that with Tomb Raider recently with that tabletop RPG. She has that little partner who has her legs missing.
That's what I saw. The double amputee with the spring. Yeah. Oh god, that was so weird.
It's strange. I don't even know how
crowdfunding for that one, which is coming next year. That should be fun.
Oh, fun. Yeah, I don't know how she's going to raid tombs in that condition, but I do wish
she's not raiding tombs. She's done with that. She's a truth seeker now.
Truth seeker,
She's the anti-Tomb Raider now.
The biggest problem is just like in movies, right? Is the game I'm starting to see as I'm paying attention more to the gaming side, is that the people making these things are so self-absorbed. And that's what it boils down to. This is an entire generation of people that have been taught that they can only identify with other people that visually look like them. I've never heard of this growing up. And that's why this has been such a hard thing for me to wrap my head around. It's like trying to make logical sense out of the completely illogical, but yet that's where we are.
You all just need to get used to the real future where we're going to bump map cellulite on all the characters. Get ready for it. It's coming.
Oh God.
Cellulite technology.
I mean, I'm honestly surprised that Lizzo hasn't been used as a body model yet from one of these video games.
Well, that's only because the technology can't handle that many polys quite yet.
Oh, ouch. Yeah. Well, she said she's getting out of music. Maybe she'll do video games. But no, it seems like, the people developing this, they want to see themselves. We've seen like how many self-inserts. You mentioned Spider-Man 2.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Jane was a straight up self-insert from, was it one of the writers of that game? I think it was the head writer. I mean, just visually was made to look like her. We've seen this in movie and television stuff, these self-inserts. They forget people want to do these things. They want to play video games and they want to watch movies to escape reality. It's like I don't want to sit and watch a movie or like a string of movies just on, 40-something-year-old white suburban dads. I don't need to see myself on the screen. I'd rather go watch, Arnold Schwarzenegger, somebody I could never possibly be, go kick a bunch of guys' butts.
Spider-Man, I wanted to mention that game. That game gets so much wrong. I think the very first, sorry, I was coughing a second ago, but the very first 20 minutes of that game even pushes Peter Parker to the very back burner, letting Miles Morales take full control. Peter Parker just gets thrown around, beat up, thrown to the ground. He's just weak. He's like, please, Miles, help me. And then Miles, of course, comes in with like the greatest superhero landing you've ever seen. And he's like, don't worry, Peter, I'm here. Also, I'll resurrect your best friend for you just because I'm a nice guy. And yeah, that self-insert thing, people say that it's not confirmed, but Mary Jane and that writer that looks like the in-game Mary Jane, I mean, it's such an uncanny resemblance. It's actually kind of insane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where else to go with that one other than what's there, but
yeah, but I wanted to bring that up to touch upon something you said earlier that the way that they represent people. I think that these companies who do this, I think they just represent people all wrong, because there's really nothing wrong with representation. But why is it that most of this stuff has to happen only if you tear down a different demographic?
That's it.
Why does that happen? And that's something that they're doing a lot. They are like, well, in order for this demographic to be propped up, we have to tear down white people as much as possible, or we have to push decolonization policies, which is crazy too.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it is, and you're right, and we've said that before too. Like, representation in and of itself, is there anything inherently wrong with it? No. But what I've said for a while now, Dredd, is that the same people that demand that we have to have representation in everything, but of course that's never really well defined, is it? It just usually means, like you said, it's replacing one set of characters with an entirely different set of characters, because we're told that, like we said before, people out there, audiences, want to see themselves in these games. They want to see themselves on the screen. Okay, then by these same people's own logic, if you're going to spend $200 to $300 million making a blockbuster film or a AAA video game, then if you're telling me that people, if they don't feel represented, are not going to engage with this product, then why would you deliberately eliminate what is still, especially in the domestic market, the single largest audience that consume these AAA video games, which is white guys?
Right. So
either your representation argument is real and you're doing it wrong, or it's bogus. It's one of the others. it's like, it can't be both. Which is, again, I always throw that back at people. And it's not to say that somebody that doesn't look like a character isn't going to play a video game, but I think we're at a point now where folks they're so reflexively sick of seeing what we see, because we know that it's not genuine. We know that somebody went in there with a racial and ethnic chart with a bunch of check boxes and said, well, you have to have this and you have to have that, and we need to increase ESG score here. It's all very fake. It's astroturfing. And I think that's what people are getting sick of. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.